I don't gotta change the world, I just got to be myself. I don't count dollar signs, spread love and I share the wealth. I've been overthinking all my life. No more wasting all my precious time. I feel alive, I feel alive, feeling like I'm 10 feet tall. I feel alive, I feel alive, feeling like I'm...
You know,
Oh,
we're getting old.
we're getting there.
But I think like our 30s are going to be a time that everything we do is going to be reflected in our 40s and 50s.
I agree.
And so like the good things you do will be reflected, but I think the bad things will have a longer lasting impact than if we did something bad in our 20s.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was literally talking about that the other day with a coworker who was in her 20s.
Really?
And I was like, enjoy it, like get messy, because when you hit your 30s, it's not as forgivable anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like, oh shit, this is real. Like it's not cute to mess up.
It's crazy too, because like when you're telling somebody that, you're telling them that with like love,
Of
you know?
course,
But like
yeah.
they're like, what are you talking about?
They don't get
I'm
it.
good. I got time.
No, they
You know
don't
what I'm saying?
understand. No.
Well, I was like, it's funny because like even when I was like younger, so like even if I was like 16, 17, 18, whatever, like, and I thought about being like, I never really thought about being old.
Right.
You know what
I
I'm
didn't
saying?
either.
I never thought about like,
No.
oh, like what would it be like when I'm 25 or 30?
Right.
But if I came across somebody that was 25 or 30, like let's say I was like out playing basketball and of course there's like mixed ages out there.
Right.
I'd always like make note of somebody that was considerably older than the group. But I still had no like I don't know, like no concept of like how different their life could be 8 years older than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I feel like you're at that age where you're thinking so selfishly about yourself that you're not thinking further in the future of like what someone else is feeling at a certain age. I mean, I wasn't either, you know, you're very selfish and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that age, you know?
I mean, I would argue on some degree being selfish is part of maturing
I
on
agree.
some level, right? Like
100%.
learning to put yourself first in certain circumstances. And,
100%.
you know, it's also interesting too, is, you know, we see it in like 60-year-olds or like our grandparents or something, where the things that they care about and the things that we still care about now are still vastly different.
Completely.
You know, like obviously there's some like overlap, like the Venn diagram, right? Like we care about family and faith and good friends and stuff like that.
Of course.
But like besides that, from like a judgmental side or like being hard on ourselves, or like, I'm just happy I woke up today.
Exactly.
I'm happy you're calling me. I'm happy I get to see you on your birthday or whatever the case is, you know? So, you know, I think a lot of things in life, like I always say, are like cliches, you know? So I always say like, if I could, you know, be known for something at my funeral, I also want to be known that I live like a cliche. I think there's so much truth in cliches.
Yeah.
And so like, just, you know, obviously like, I don't know, there's so many of them. It's hard to pinpoint one, but I don't know. I just think that like, as we get older, we're just getting closer to realizing what's important.
I agree.
And then you die. So it's
no,
just like,
I know.
like what the heck?
It is. And it's honestly like a scary thought in a sense, but at the same time, it's not. It's like very exciting to think about it, because when you're a teenager and in your 20s, you're just kind of going with life.
Right.
Like you're just kind of pushing through to the next thing. And then moving into your 30s and getting older, it's like more things are more relevant and more things become more important, where you're like, okay, like I'm in the thick of it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, I want to stop and enjoy it, but I'm also so damn busy that it's hard to.
Isn't that crazy how busy that we stay or continuously get, no matter, like, it's so funny because I think that like a lot of times we equate like our busyness with like productiveness or our financial well-being or being popular or whatever the case is that you want to put in there.
Yes.
But it's all like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we're not as busy as we think we are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can agree with that for sure.
Like obviously those things that take up our time.
Right.
But then when you start backing into it, you're like, all right, even if I work a normal 9 to 5, that's 40 hours a week. And even if you want to put 5 hours on top of that for commuting, or even at home kind of stuff you have to do, that's still 45 hours a week. That's literally 2 days.
Yeah, technically.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you're off for 5 days.
That's a good perspective.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, obviously not everyone has the luxury of like, you know, just waking up every day to do what they want to do. You can strive for that. But, you know, if you really want to do something different than what you're doing now, it's got to be done. Like there's time in the day to do it. You just can't do other things. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I think it's all a mindset too.
For sure.
Where, I mean, I've gone through the whole like, oh, I'm teaching, I'm busy, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do anything, and then just go home and veg out on the couch for 5 hours until I go to bed. And then it's like, oh, well, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, once that clicks where it's like, oh, I have time to go do XYZ.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it, you know?
Well, the thing is too, because a lot of people say that or bring that point up, and it is a true point, but I also like see the other side of the coin to it, right? Because obviously everyone says like it's what you do from like 5 to 9, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there is a lot of occupations that physically and more importantly mentally drain you.
Absolutely.
And I think the mental drain is actually more, obviously physical drain is like I want to go to sleep.
Exhaust.
But a mental drain is like I want to veg out and not have to think about anything that I'm doing.
Yes.
And to be creative, you have to think about what you're doing.
Right.
So it's arguably almost impossible to some degree to be creative. Like I don't think you can like, you know, go teach till 4 every day and then go in the studio if you want to be a singer and be creative. Like you're not gonna, your juices are done for the day because you've already used your creativity to get through that day.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
completely draining. Yeah. So. And I feel like on that point is, from the teaching aspect at least, it is so hard to explain it to someone because, you know, everybody has their own careers, everybody has their own lives, but explaining that mental drain, because it really does just completely gas you.
It does.
At the point, especially when you're working with young kids or even, you know, middle school, high school kids, like
anybody,
it's
well,
a circus.
I mean, you're you're not entertaining, but you are entertaining to a degree. You know
I always say I'm on a stage every single day. I'm at level 100 every single day because I have to be.
Yeah.
I have to either match the energy, otherwise it's not going to go smoothly.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't know how you do it. We're going to get into that in a little bit too, because I have so many questions on like how you keep your sanity.
Yes, I got you.
But there is so many people that, again, even outside the teaching realm, that just, again, they're occupied from early in the morning till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So this is like what I would suggest to those people is, all right, let's say, because even if you come home at 5, you start to make time to eat, you know, relax, whatever, right? So like, even if you put in, let's say 3 hours a day for conversation's sake, people would be like, okay, you're doing something above and beyond, right?
Right.
So that's 15 hours over a 5-day span, right?
Right.
But like we just said, to be creative after you work is near impossible, / you're not even going to, you know, at that point, putting in 1 hour at full energy is better than 3 hours at no energy.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So with that in mind, instead of putting 3 hours in a day after you get home from work, it's like, let me get my weekend chores done during the week.
Yep.
And then the weekend I have 2 full days
where
I can go 8 hours. Now I got 16 hours a week on my side thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
You can kind of move it around that way. It's like, listen, I got to take the only days that I'm not working, and that has to be the days where I go full days on the side thing I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. For sure.
Which again, a lot of people don't even have the luxury of having 2 full days off.
I know.
And or 2 days in a row off.
Exactly.
But obviously, like as a teacher, you know, more times than not, Saturday and Sunday are going to be off.
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, the thing is too, another misconception is people think that you have to be chasing like another small business or another income producing hobby.
Right.
But it could just be something that makes you happy.
Right.
You know,
just a hobby.
It could be a book club.
Yeah.
It could be charity related.
Absolutely.
It could be being out in nature, fitness, whatever it is.
Right.
But because the thing is like that's what life's about. If you can pay your bills, then it's like spend the rest of your time doing what you enjoy doing.
Right. I mean, we weren't meant to work and then die. Right. You know, we're meant to enjoy this entire life. Yeah. And if you don't, you're going to blink and it's going to be gone.
You're 40. Which is crazy. We're 30 years down the road, just like that, which is crazy.
So wild to think about. Who would have thought?
It's crazy. Because even now, I don't think of myself at 40.
No,
you know,
I don't
50.
either.
Like, I don't think about that. And it's funny too, because like obviously, like when things are going well, or from a positive perspective, you want to live forever.
Yeah.
You don't, but you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like obviously, you're always trying to maintain your life.
Absolutely.
Like, just don't do something dangerous. Don't get hurt. Don't die. Whatever.
Right.
But like, even when you talk to older people, I feel like they never, like obviously to a certain degree, they're like, oh, I'd love to be 21 again or something.
Yeah.
But even for me, like I never wanted. Even today, like don't want to go backwards with my age.
No.
I'd be down to be 30 a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I guess, yeah.
But I don't want to go backwards because I feel like,
no,
you know, there's too many things backwards that I didn't like or didn't know, or like,
it's messy.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just kind of interesting is like, even though we don't want to like get old, we don't want to get younger again either.
No.
You know? So it's such a kind of conflicting like thing to think about.
It is. It's like, it's great right now. Let's just stay right here.
Just stay right here.
Stay right here.
Everything's good.
Yes. It's crazy.
So give me like a quick, I mean, it doesn't have to be quick, but like summary spark notes of like, where'd you mainly grow up? Like, was it Florida? Was it Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay.
Yep. So born in Georgia, lived there until I was 16. And then moved to Florida with my grandmother to finish high school.
Okay.
My mom and my two sisters actually ended up moving down when I graduated.
Gotcha.
So Florida at the time when I moved was this big, I don't want to go. I'm leaving my friends. I moved the middle of junior year. But looking back now from my mom's perspective of why she did it, it was needed.
Yeah.
Like I had to go.
It's funny how that works out.
It's funny. Yeah. And it's,
that is brutal though. Right in the middle of high school. Like that's when you feel like
I didn't know anybody.
You're going to know everyone that you know forever, you know?
Yeah. I left, my friends at the time, and half of them now looking back, I'm like, oh, you weren't actually my friends. So I'm kind of glad I left.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time it was scary. It was messy. It wasn't fun. I did not like my mom for a long time because of it. Yeah. But looking back now, I'm like, okay, you made the right decision.
Yeah.
So I was able to graduate and then, obviously go to college after that, stayed in Florida.
Did you go straight to, where'd you go straight after graduation?
So I went to SCF in Venice, like Sarasota, which is just a community school for my AA.
Gotcha.
And then once I got that, then I transferred to FGCU.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that like your first choice, or what kind of opened you to your mind to even go there? Do you have friends that went there?
So it's funny because my first choice was FSU.
Okay.
And my mom was terrified about that at the time, rightfully so.
Just like she just thought it was too big of a college experience. Yeah.
Party school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, huge party school, huge school in general, you know, and it was far away. So at the time I wanted to, but at the same time, I also wanted to stay more local.
Sure.
So FGCU just sounded like the best option. Yeah. And when I got accepted, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Sure.
But I mean, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved FGCU. It was a great school.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like I loved my time at FGCU as well. And what brought me to there was because, 3 of my closest friends at the time, and still to this day, got accepted there as well.
Yeah.
And so it was the one school where all of us got accepted to. And so like obviously someone would get accepted here, not there, or didn't even apply here or whatever. And so, and it's an hour and a half away from Tampa. Or South Tampa, because we're all from South Tampa. So we're like, okay, it's not too far. Because again, even then, it's like you wanted to get away to say that you weren't living at home.
Yes.
But you didn't want to be too far away from all the kids that you grew up with since elementary school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to a wedding tomorrow for somebody I met the first day of 4th grade.
That's cool.
And so
that's awesome.
It's been kind of cool because our generation was kind of the last generation of like play outside with no phones.
Yes.
To getting phones like junior, senior of high school, maybe. Yes. We didn't have unlimited texting, so it was still like in the baby phases.
Yep.
But it's been cool. Like I think no matter where you grew up, I think our generation has maintained relationships, I'd say, with people that we grew up with, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, like, to be 16 and be forced to change high schools is like a devastating feeling.
Oh yeah.
Especially I could imagine as a girl too.
Yeah.
Because you're like comfort
brutal.
zone, your family, whatever. But at the same time, like you said, like it's tough. Obviously, again, I just said like I'm still very close with friends that I had in high school, but at the same time, it's tough to even know what a friend is at that age because so much of it is convenient at that point. Whether we have every class together, we on the sports teams together, our parents are friends. Like it's just a convenient thing.
Right.
To where you get to college and it's, arguably in most friendships, it's actually pretty inconvenient, right? The fact that you make it a priority is what makes it a friendship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So,
I agree.
But yeah, that's all part of like the growing pains and learning. But
yeah,
I knew you had spent time in Georgia and in Florida, but wasn't sure kind of what led to that. So what'd you major in when you went to FGCU?
So I actually changed my major a couple times. I first went in with psychology as my major, took a couple classes, enjoyed it, loved it, really wanted to pursue it. But I also was not a straight A student and I didn't want to be in school to get a doctorate, which with psychology at the time, at least, for me to make any money with it, I would have had to get extra schooling with master's and doctorate.
Yeah.
And I, at 21 years old, was like, nope, I don't know if I can do that.
I feel you on that.
And that's what's so crazy too about college is you are asked to make these life-changing decisions when your frontal lobe isn't even developed yet to the point where you don't even know what's up and what's down, right?
I kind of see both sides of it because it's like, it's not forced to go to college, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, if you want to, I think it is good that because our brains are still maturing, so to speak.
Right.
I think it is positive that we're still learning during that time.
I agree.
But to your point, it's hard to, it's like what people are scared of, even like relationships or marriage and stuff. It's like, I don't want to commit to one thing forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that was like my worst nightmare. Like, oh, you're making me pick?
Because it seems so final. Like, it's like,
does.
oh, like it seems like I'm going to waste all this time doing school that I hate, you know?
Exactly.
But I would argue that I think the only way they can make it better is, but again, it's kind of like going contradictory to what I'm going to say, but is to make the first 2 years a little bit more trade-like.
Yeah.
To where it's more like,
right.
Like, if you're forced to pick a path, then let me go all in on that path.
Right.
So I shouldn't be taking like basic math and reading and English I shouldn't be taking English 101 if I want to do this.
Absolutely.
Like, just throw me in psychology. You can still be, lighter stuff until I get to year 3, year 4.
Right.
But I feel like the whole 4 years should be dedicated towards whatever you pick.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I 100% agree with that, because again, the 2 years that you spend in the beginning are just the same as high school, basically.
Same as high school, yeah.
It's just high school 2.0. And I wish there was more about whatever major it is you're doing earlier.
Yeah.
To get you a little bit more excited and like give you more insight about everything that you're about to start jumping into in the last 2 years of college. Yeah. So I agree.
It's tough though, because at the end of the day, like, it is a good barometer for hiring companies.
True.
To see that you finish something. So like which is nice, because again, like outside of the specialties, it does appear that like companies aren't caring what you majored in.
That's
just
true.
that you finished.
Yeah, that you have a degree.
That you have a degree. And I think the fact that has been a thing for a while is a positive thing.
Right.
I don't think that makes college like worthless. I actually think that it actually makes college more attractive, because now it's like, I don't have to feel bad if I pick psychology and I want to be an accountant, because they're still going to teach me how they want me to do accounting at their firm.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's the thing, is like, it doesn't matter what you major in. That company's going to teach you how they want you to do it.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So obviously, if you're going to be like a doctor or a nurse or certain specialties, it's way different. Completely
different. You know, but with the baseline of everything, I agree.
So, but college is tough. I mean, like you said, you're 18 years old, maybe. Like, most people are 18 when they go in, 18, 19. And it's like the first time that you kind of have to, you basically just learn how to prioritize.
Right.
And schedule and manage your time. You know what I'm saying? And it's so tough. When I look back on it, like, I never thought I was going to get through it.
I didn't either.
I thought that I had to, because I started it and I was like paying my own way through it.
I know, same.
But
same.
I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to, like, you know. And even when I still remember like picking my first classes, I couldn't even conceptualize finishing, because it was so far away.
So far away.
Like, they're like, you need, I forgot how many credits you need, but however many credits you need, it sounded so like, I was like,
so
how do I get that?
Right.
And like, they're like, yeah, if you take, 4 classes, that's 12 hours or whatever. I'm like, I need hundreds.
Yeah.
And I only get 12 for like this whole semester.
And they don't educate you on like what it is either. They're like,
Nothing.
Here, just do this.
Yeah.
They throw it in your face like, okay, good luck, sink or swim.
It's brutal. Honestly, I think going to like a community college or doing something like that is way better than getting thrown into college if you're not good at compartmentalizing at a young age. Like, your parents, like, I think a lot of parents kind of know their kids to a degree.
Right.
And so they know, like, okay, like, they help me around the house. They're pretty responsible. They'll be okay if they go to college.
Right.
Other ones are like, I can't even get them to get like up on time and stuff. Like, you're gonna waste money going to college too early.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I don't know. It's tough. Like, I just think like 10, 20 years from now, like, especially you being in the education industry, like, it's tough. Like, do you advocate for like everyone to go to college?
I know.
Or do you advocate? I would say, if you know what you want to do, and especially if it's like along the lines of a trade, then I would pursue that.
I agree.
But if you don't know what you want to do, I would say go to an in-state university or state college, or a community college for the first couple years.
Figure it out.
And then again, if you still don't know what the thing is like, if you don't know what to do, whatever you do, stay in state.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
Yes.
Because I think the craziest thing is
yes.
when you hear about people having like crazy college debt, it's because they went out of state.
They went out of state. Yeah. It's way more expensive.
It doesn't make any sense. Even people went to FTCU that they're from Ohio or something like that. When they were telling me what they had to pay, I was like, dude, I would stayed home.
No.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you're in debt and you can't pay the debt off with the job you have.
It's unpayable debt.
It's crazy.
It's unpayable debt.
It really is.
You know, if you stay in state, it's more manageable.
Yeah.
You can actually leverage bright futures or different scholarship opportunities. And then just being in state, you already kind of have some familiarity with like how to live, like rents and cost of living and where should I go to get to save a dollar here and there. So.
Oh, and I got a bone to pick with Bright Futures because as a new student living in Florida, I didn't qualify for it.
Oh, really?
I was only in Florida high school for 2 years. You had to be in a Florida high school for 4.
Really? I didn't know that.
So at the time when all of my new friends that I made were getting Bright Futures and, deciding all of this for college, they're like, oh, sorry. That's huge. You're an out of state, technically, student.
That's horrible.
I know. So
even if you you did those 2 extra years, the community after,
right?
Would that count of being in the state for 4 years, or it had to be high school?
Nope, had to be high school.
Jeez.
I know. So that's education world is messy.
So if you get into the education world, is there any reimbursement for your college tuition? Like, I always heard people talk about that.
So yeah, definitely. Right now, which is a new thing, I just learned this year. If you work at a Title I school, which is where I am, I think it's either 3 years or 5 years, like in a row, then part of your debt from college gets
like forgiven.
Forgiven.
Oh wow, okay.
Right.
Is like a percentage or just like a flat amount?
I want to say it's like 12 or 15,000.
Oh, really?
Which is a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot for some people,
Anything is a lot at this point.
Anything's a lot, yeah. So it's definitely something that I'm looking into as an educator because, working at a Title I school, TZ Transformation Zone, I qualify for that. And of course, I paid my way through college. Yep. I got not Bright Futures, but what was the FAFSA?
FAFSA, there's a Pell Grant.
The Pell Grant, yeah. And then I also took out a ton of loans because I had to live, and I had to pay my own way.
Life ain't cheap.
Right. So having all the debt as a teacher is, it's a crisis, honestly, at this point, because we all know that teachers do not get paid what they should. I would hope that I'm going to be alive for the day they do. But yeah, it's one of those things where they're helping the teachers and the educators in the Title I schools, but then what about the teachers that are not in Title I that have debt?
They just SOL or what?
SOL, right? Like it's,
Yeah, they got to figure out a better system for that.
I do. And everything's always changing too, especially in the education world, constantly.
Yeah.
Like there's new rules, new procedures, everything's coming out fresh, like all the time. So whatever was right 3 months ago is now different.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's just like finding qualified, good-hearted people to join like the police force or different stuff like that. Like things that you need to have.
Right.
You can't just like not have them for a safe society.
Right.
But where's the incentive? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And then like even when people brainstorm, like I've heard so many ideas on different incentives that you could give to educators.
Right.
But it's so tough because it really would require so much. It would require, it appears, so much like middle management.
Yes.
To even make sure that there isn't any fraudulent activity happening with those incentives.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's tough. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, why don't we just pay them more instead of incentivizing them to get paid more? Because there is some negative connotation with incentivizing. Right. Because then it's like, well, is the base level, like at the end of the day, everyone should be at the same base level from like the output standpoint, right? Like you should be, like you're mission driven to teach kids and help them grow and reach the next level. Like that's a big part of wanting to even get into it, I would imagine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's tough. It's just like anytime you want to give more money to anything, even like a WNBA, right? It's like they want to make more money. Well, I think what they're doing now by promoting the college game more, inherently it's going to trickle down to the WNBA.
Right.
Because now like Caitlin Clark's in there and so-and-so's in it. And now it's like, oh, I want to watch it. And you know what I'm saying? So like you have to start somewhere else to kind of trickle it over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so obviously you know, at the end of the day, like if you can forgive debt, at least for the educators, that's an easy way to pay them more.
Incentive, yeah.
You know, so
honestly, and the thing is too with teaching, I feel like especially in our generation right now and like the crisis that we're in, they hire anybody at this point. Sure. I mean, they need a warm body in the classroom. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're getting people that didn't go to school for education, never thought about being a teacher a day in their life, and then just said, well, here I am.
Yeah.
And then that's why so many people are leaving the classroom, because they're hiring people that don't have that drive and that passion for it, especially now, because I mean, it's a mess in there, you know, it's, there's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors in schools. And I mean, it's messy.
Yeah. I mean, there's kids. The thing is with teaching is so tough because you're just dealing with somebody else's kids. And it's on some level in society today, it seems like it's already nearly impossible to be a parent.
Oh yeah.
Like we couldn't parent our kids the same way we were parented.
No.
Without people raising eyebrows and like, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
So now it kind of exacerbate that with somebody else's kid, where it's like you better not talk to them or touch them or do anything. Yep. But then it's like
it's never the kid's fault.
Never the kid's fault. But those kids are bad because they're kids.
Absolutely.
You know,
and they don't know any better. They're growing up in that generation with parents, and they're learning from them.
Exactly.
You can't hold them accountable. I mean, you can hold them accountable, but you can't hold it against them.
Right.
Right.
Which is
so
tough.
it's I gotta remind myself some days, okay, you're 7.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
I see some videos, and again, like a lot of times these are like high school videos or whatever, but I'm just like, where's the protection for the administrators and the teachers? Because I don't see that enough. Every time I've seen some crazy issues happen, it seems that like even if the administrator's in a neutral position to maybe in the right, they still might lose their job, get relocated, whatever.
Right.
And it's just like
it's a sticky situation. It is.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw like there's something that happened at one of my old high schools where it's a sad situation because there was a guy that was the assistant principal over there, and he was actually an assistant principal when I went to high school there.
Right.
Subsequently worked at multiple different schools, you know, since I had graduated.
Yeah, yeah.
In the last like 6 months, he went back to that school to become the athletic director.
Nice.
And, you know, back to being AP, but also the athletic director, a little bit different position. And there's a situation. I only found out about it because it had to have been like after school or something, because there was like hundreds of kids out like in the thing. Jeez. And there was already something going on with one of the students because the deputy was there. So the deputy was basically like facing the kid, like talking to him, right? Like not really holding him yet, but like was guiding him. Like he was taking him like somewhere, right?
Yep.
And next to the deputy was the assistant principal, who was also like like they both were talking to the kid.
Right.
And the kid just like literally like just try to punch the assistant principal. And obviously nobody's expecting that because they're just like talking.
Yep.
And he just tries to like steal a punch and hits him right in the face. And this assistant principal, he used to play professional baseball. He's one of the most jacked people I've ever seen in my life. So it would be like the last person I would even like touch.
Yeah.
And this kid is just like, he must have been so amped up. This guy looks like Hercules.
Yeah.
Like the black Hercules.
Right.
And anyways, the kid just punches him in the face,
crazy.
And instantly like the deputy starts like grabbing him. But the administrator like punched him back.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, what do you do there?
Crazy.
You know?
What do you,
and
honestly,
he could have killed the kid.
Absolutely.
He hit him once, and after he hit him, the deputy was already kind of grabbing the kid, and the deputy was already putting the kid to the ground.
Right.
So he got punched on his way to the ground. And then like when he got to the ground, this person was kind of like, you know, walked away with some teachers. They were kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah, like what's going on?
And I found out he ended up losing his job over it and all this stuff. And I'm like, he just got punched in the face in front of at least 1,000 kids. Yeah. Minimally. Because clearly it's all on camera. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the hard part about it too, with like the cameras and the phones, and the kids have it all the time. Well, they have the access to the internet, right? So everything's recorded. And that's, I feel, why a lot of these educators, teachers in this profession are getting in so much trouble. Well, because everything's being recorded.
Everything's being recorded. Like, and it's like, I don't know, like even in that situation, like instantly, like kind of, it broke my heart because I had known how hard he worked to, and I was like, he's probably been in so many of these situations.
Well, that was probably the last straw, honestly, because I'll tell you what, these kids, they have no fear.
Yeah.
They will say they will do anything to adults, which blows my mind.
Because I think there's no ramifications.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no consequences. They are not held accountable at home most of the time. And they get away with murder, literally.
Well, that's why I was like, in that situation, I'm like, it's a lose-lose. Let's say he just eats it and doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now he's SOL kind of for the rest of the time because now people aren't going to respect him as an AP.
Oh, right. That part.
And then the fact that he threw one punch back,
right,
which is legally allowed. He didn't get in legal trouble.
Right.
Because you can even with a girl in Florida, you can go back with the equal or same force that they used against you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
even if it's a kid, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, it could be a little bit different for a kid.
Right.
But yeah, anything that comes at you, you can always return with equal or same force. You can't go above the force, but you can do equal or same force. So a punch for a punch, like he's not going to get in trouble for that. Plus, the kid easily could have been 18. He was a big kid.
Exactly.
Who knows if he was a senior or what he was, you know?
It's crazy, man. And that happens all the time. I feel like I see stories like that all the time with teachers.
It's just sad. I just like think about the AP's family and being like, it's just such a slippery situation. And
it's like that one moment just ruined his life. Yeah. Pretty much.
And the kid's life, I mean, he probably could. I mean, the kid could probably get arrested for assault.
Sure.
You know,
for sure.
Because the other thing could be like defense. You know,
right? Absolutely.
It's just one of those situations.
Unprovoked, just swinging.
You know,
that's wild.
Especially at the biggest guy on the property, which is just like crazy.
No,
but yeah, that I saw that a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, it just started making me think, like, man, like what protections do educators have in this world where the kids seem to be? And again, like a lot of times, like you only report. So let's talk about it. You only report bad things on the news.
Right.
But we only report good things on social media.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which again, like even like part of having guests on this podcast was like, I always made the argument that there's never a good time to brag about yourself unless you're in an interview. You're talking to your significant other, a close family member, or an interview. That's the only time that you get to be like, yo, you know, I had to get up every single day at 5 o'clock to get ready enough to leave by 6 to get there by 7. And then I had to do lessons plans. And then I only had 30 minutes for lunch because I had to help my other friend. You know, like there's never a good time or appropriate time for you to lay that on somebody.
No.
That isn't your significant other, mom, whatever, right?
For sure.
And so like, not like I wanted to have everyone come on here and just like complain, but also be like, give perspective.
Yeah.
Because again, a lot of people say, oh, like, you know, I'm between jobs. Maybe I'll be a teacher for a little bit. Like they just kind of pass it off. Like I would love to go talk, you know, they just picture themselves almost as a professor.
Right.
You know, where like I just come in and I give them some wisdom.
That's
and
probably more their speed.
Yeah.
when they're thinking that. I mean,
it's tough, you know.
It is.
So like what's a normal day to day for you from like the time you have to get up to the time you make it back to your house?
Ooh, okay. So I mean, I try to wake up around like 6:30. School day starts at 7. Okay. So I'm there at 7 o'clock every morning, and then the kids don't come till 8:15.
Okay.
So being Title I and Transformation Zone school, we have that extra hour in the morning and the afternoon. So it's a lot of lesson planning, a lot of like getting ready for the day. It's kind of like my piece.
Do you enjoy that because you can
enjoy it.
Do your planning at school as opposed to doing it at home? I
absolutely love it. Yes. Okay.
But you would be home for that hour instead of at school, but you still like it?
Yes. Okay. No, I absolutely love it. When I first started at this school 2 years ago, I thought I was going to hate it. I'm not a morning person. Picked the wrong profession for that, honestly. But no, now that I'm like in the thick of it, I absolutely love it. It's like my one moment of the day where I'm calm, I'm prepping, I get the most work done in the morning. The afternoons, I'm ready to go. I'm gassed. I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So the mornings are great. But yeah, a normal day, there is no normal day. Yeah. Honestly, every day is different. You know, I'm teaching for the first like 2.5, 3 hours, go to lunch, 30 minutes, if that. Usually my lunches are not even lunches. There's meetings, there's parents calling, there's, you know, something that has to get done, copies to be made. So there's never really a true break during the day. Yeah. I am going 100 miles an hour from the time I get there with the kids until the time I leave.
Right.
So, you know, after lunch, we pick them up, take them back to the classroom, teach a little bit, take them to specials. That's also another break.
Yeah.
But that's also meetings pretty much every single day or planning.
Like active breaks. To a degree. You have a break from the kids, but not a break from like the work day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Which, you know, it's nice. Trust me. I love the break from the kids. It's needed. But at the same time, I have what I like to call 1,000 tabs open in my head constantly.
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking. I love the fact that I'm busy all day because I can't see myself doing anything else. But there's always something to be doing. Like my to-do list is forever running.
Are you adding to that to-do list? Like, so I always like asking people this. So like, do you do a to-do list every morning to start your day? Are you adding to a to-do list that's already started for the week? Or do you like to do a fresh one every day?
I do a fresh one every day.
Okay.
So unless it's something big that needs to get done, that'll always kind of just stay on that to-do list. But for me, it helps to start fresh every morning because whatever happened the day before, forgetting, you know? So new day comes, new to-do list. But yeah, I mean, and again, with TZ, we have an extra workload that other schools in Pinellas don't have. So, I mean, it just being lower socioeconomic status, you know, the kids, the families, it's very different. It's very rough. But the workload for us is a lot more.
Yeah.
We are expected to move mountains every single day, pretty much, which
makes you stronger.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm still standing. So haven't left yet.
So do you enjoy like the field trip aspect?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not
a
break. I know it's a lot of like
it's definitely not a break.
More responsibility because you're not outside of a safe place. For sure. But
yeah. I mean, I love the field trips. I think they're a great, you know, experience for the kids, especially the kids that I teach who pretty much come from nothing. You know, they don't get to do things like this ever. So school is the one chance that they get to experience something like that. So for me, I love it in that aspect, watching them, experience it, their faces light up and to go do something they've never gotten to do. But for the teachers, you know, it is very taxing.
For sure.
Very taxing.
Do you have, obviously, you have like good get lucky with good chaperones?
So we haven't done chaperones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this year we've had really low numbers in our classes where we aren't required to.
Gotcha.
Which has been fine. I mean, I have 13 kids this year, which is pretty much unheard of. Last year I had 22.
I was going to say, it sounds more right.
So yeah. So this year, I don't know what happened, but it's been nice.
Hey,
it's been really nice. But yeah, so it's just me and the kids and then the rest of my team with their kids. So we're all together.
Yeah.
But just no extra support.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's still fun though, just to get out of the classroom. And
it's a good break. It is.
And even like the field trips, like even for me growing up, like obviously there's some field trips I didn't get to go on because maybe affordability, but the ones that I was able to go on, I would never have gone to those places otherwise.
No.
You know, like I would like the amusement parks that I was able to go to and stuff. So even going to the zoos and doing like stuff like that. I mean,
aquariums.
School really is like I don't know. I would see, because some people say it's like a home away from home, how much time you spend there. But I would argue that it's like a better place than home for a lot of people.
I can attest to that.
It could be safer. It could be less stressful.
Yep.
And, you know, even though like none of us want to be doing like school work,
right?
I loved going to school because it was like, okay, I get 8 hours today outside of my house.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
And so, you know, it's crazy again, like how many of those kids probably look forward to that. I mean, it's guaranteed AC, guaranteed a bathroom that's clean, a meal, like whatever, you know. So like those simple things. It's
crazy when you say that because when I first started at this school last year, it was a huge culture shock to begin with, just to like kind of learn the ins and the outs because it is very different.
Yeah.
And they always tell us like for breaks, whenever we go on like Christmas break or spring break, obviously the teachers, the staff, the admin, everyone's ready. You know, we're exhausted. We're ready to go on a break. We're excited. We're doing the countdowns. And then we have to be reminded like, hey, these kids aren't going to have fun.
Yeah.
Most of them are going home and it's not going to be a good time for them. You know, the breaks bring a lot of anxiety, a lot of like big emotions, a lot of behaviors come out the weeks before break because, you know, they know they're not going to be here every day where it's safe. And they might not even understand that correlation, but we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it's like right now, at the end of the school year, we're about to go on summer vacation. Everybody's pumped. But we see a lot of behaviors popping off every single day from kids you had never seen them from before.
Yeah.
You know, I'm dealing with kids that have been amazing all year long, never given me any issues. And then all of a sudden this week, it's just chaos. Yeah.
When do you guys go on summer break?
May 29th.
Oh, wow. End of this month.
So soon.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how many weeks do you guys get off? 8?
So about 8.
Okay.
Yep. So we go back about, I think it's like August 2nd, I want to say. And the kids go back, I think, August 10th or 12th. Yeah.
Is that when like the majority of like the educators, like does everyone plan their like family vacations around summer?
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say so. Unless you're working, spring break, Christmas break. Yeah, unless you're working like summer school, which I know a lot of teachers do that just to make that extra money.
Sure.
I thought about it and decided not to for good reason.
Yeah.
I know myself and if I need the break. Yeah. I don't want to come back.
You don't want to break from the money, but you need a break from the kids. Just the long days.
Yes.
You know, the kids, like you said, not even just the kids, but just everything.
Everything.
You know. So.
It's just, I couldn't imagine working 12 months doing what I'm doing right now with no break and then going into a brand new school year and being refreshed. Yeah. There's no way. Yeah. Some people can handle it and more power to them. Maybe I will be later on, but right now, like I know myself too much where I'm like, if I am going to work over summer, I'll find something else because it's taxing.
Sure.
It is.
But I mean, if you start adding it up, you say you get like a week for spring break, and then you get 8 weeks for summer, that's 9 weeks. And then let's say you get 2 weeks for winter break.
Right.
You're at 11 weeks. And then you probably get another week, maybe 2 with all the holidays combined.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's
there's
12,
a lot
13
of
weeks, you know? So it means you're working 40 weeks, you're off 12 weeks.
Right.
It's not bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Obviously, like that correlates to like the compensation.
Right.
Which makes it a tough issue. You know
it
what I'm
does.
saying? But it's unique. It's been like that forever.
Ever.
You know what I'm
saying?
And
it'll always be like that, I feel, unless you're in a different country or something. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, you have it so nice. You get your summers off, you get these breaks. Like, that's so amazing. And it's like, when you really think about it, like, I'm getting paid for 12 months out of the year, whether I'm in school working those or not. So the salary that I make is based on a 12-month year.
Right.
So when you look at it that way, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like it should be higher in a sense.
Yep.
And also with the breaks, a lot of people are like, oh, it can't be so bad. Like you get all these breaks off, like you get all this time. But when you really think about it and sit down, it's like, okay, but those breaks are so needed.
Yeah.
What other profession or career needs that long of a break to just stay sane?
Well, it's tough too because like the break is one thing, but I don't know, like you said, like the normal, like, because don't you have a choice between normalizing the compensation?
You do. So you can do 10-month or 12-month pay. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, so when you have your breaks, everyone else has their breaks.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to go travel or do something, everyone's traveling.
Absolutely.
So like not only like travel's already expensive as it is, but now you're gonna be paying inflated prices because you're traveling during the times where every other minimally teacher is gonna be traveling, let alone somebody else that wants to travel during that time frame.
Right. Absolutely.
You know so
unless you want to use your PTO during the year, which no teacher wants to do that. Exactly. I mean, we don't get a lot of PTO. We got all these breaks, you know?
So what's a potential solution, do you think, for not like the compensation side? That's a tough question, but like, what do you think the solution is for attracting more people to the field of education?
I feel like that's a loaded question.
Like, what attracted you to the field?
For me, I always had that feeling that I wanted to teach. It was the one career path that always, enticed me. I loved kids. I loved working with kids. I feel like for me personally, coming from the background I do, not doing well in school, having a tough life, I kind of relate to a lot of these kids that I teach now.
Yeah.
And it's just so rewarding, as cliche as that sounds.
Yeah.
It is the most rewarding job I have ever had. And I love it so much. I mean, I have a lot of things about it that are hard, but at the end of the day, like I really can't see myself swaying from it because it just brings me so much joy when I really sit down and think about it. Like I love the fact that I can help these kids learn something new every single day.
Sure.
Like they are literally hanging on every single word you're saying and watching those aha moments and, just seeing them change over the course of a year from the beginning to the end is absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
So that's probably the biggest thing that just attracted me to it is I love the kids. I love the job. I mean, I love what I do. Everything else involved is just whatever at this point. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
It is
It's
what
almost
it
like
is.
you're
Give and
working for a
take.
nonprofit,
Yeah.
but you get paid for it. It's almost like you're doing a charity to a degree, because teachers, in some sense, are a glorified babysitter.
Right.
In the sense, not in the role that you play, but in the role that like the reason why school is mandatory from a society standpoint.
Right.
Because the kids just can't be at home while the parents are at work.
Right.
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 So like from that perspective, we have to put the kids somewhere.
Right.
Right. And then you'd be like, oh, it would be great if they could learn something while they're there.
Right.
So that's where the teachers come in,
Absolutely.
to educate and
give that structure.
I think so. I feel like I'm just brainstorming here.
Yeah.
But I think that like a way to, because I think a lot of people feel the way you feel towards kids. But again, maybe the compensation is not enough for the to support their lifestyle or whatever the case is.
Right.
So less attracted to it. But just from finding qualified people and growing the industry, I think that it should be easier to almost have religion tied into schools.
Okay.
So like how we have school choice now based on like where the athletic program is or like location, it's like, okay, like clearly there's no issue with the amount of churches that pop up everywhere.
Right.
The various denominations from Christianity, Methodist, Catholic, whatever it is, So I think if we could have more schools, like I'm not saying you have to go have a Catholic school.
Right.
But it could be like how St. P. Catholic is, right? Where it's like, maybe even less than that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, because I think when you tie in religion to the school, it's easier to find educators because they're tied to the religion.
Yes.
Already.
Right.
So now it's like, oh, I'm down to come be a teacher because now
you're also teaching the religion.
Exactly. And then if you have churches on campus of those schools are connected, now you can have another resource financially from the money the church makes to help pay some of the teachers.
Yes.
And it can cross over to Sunday school, to,
absolutely.
But I think that like on some level, if, by crossing that, you can kind of double dip, and then you have a double cause. You're like, well, I'm not only being a teacher, but I'm teaching these kids like my religion too,
Right.
And again, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be to the fact where like you have to take a Bible class or you have to like, you don't have to take those,
right?
But you can choose to take those,
right?
The type thing,
right?
So I'm not for like shoving things down people's throats,
right?
But I just think that you would get probably more qualified professionals
probably
that would be more eager to do it,
And I feel like that's why Christian schools are able to keep the teachers that they have,
for sure.
Because I mean, if you think
they're
about
connected
it,
on another level already,
completely.
And for all the positive things that you mentioned,
Absolutely.
They're like, this is like,
yeah,
I feel like I have so much purpose right now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep. So, and I feel like each district is so different too. Like comparatively, this district to Lee County down in Fort Myers, completely different.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, even teachers back in our day, like when we were in elementary school, like I remember all my teachers were like old, like way older, old, right? Like maybe we were just so young, we didn't realize. But it's like, now you look at teachers and they're all fresh out of college, 21, 22, 23 years old. And then you've got your veterans. And with everything changing so rapidly, a lot of these veteran teachers can't keep up. Or they don't want to.
Give me another idea what I mean? Too. So the word veteran. Idea number 2.
Yeah.
You should be able, like being a teacher should qualify as an activity you can do in the reserves.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because now you're tying in government with government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think we got to tie some stuff in. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like 100% reimbursement on your college tuition.
Right.
It can count as a reserve activity or tie in the religious aspect of it.
Right.
We got to tie other things into it. I think that's going to create safer, better schools. It's going to inherently have better students. You know what I'm saying? You got military people teaching the class, women or men.
Yeah.
Even from a religious standpoint, you know what I'm saying? I just think that like we got to, but you said, I know you're talking about veteran older teachers.
But I know what you mean.
I'm like, man, like we're always trying to find jobs for our veterans.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of them had to finish high school or do certain things to even get into that, no matter what age they are.
Right. Well, they were hiring veterans. I know it was a thing when I first started up here, just because there were so little teachers available.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend about this, where veterans could come in and teach without the same requirements as someone fresh out of college or with the degree. Like they had a way around it almost to give them that job and then also help fill the classroom.
Right.
I mean, you've got classrooms with 20, 30, 40 kids, especially in high school. I mean, my mom was substituting the last couple months and she was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you've got so many kids in a classroom, not enough desks, not enough resources. So it's like, and the reason they're so high is because they don't have enough teachers to take on the extra.
Exactly.
So it's just this huge, huge deal right now.
It's going to become a bigger and bigger deal.
Absolutely.
Because the population is just growing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the population isn't growing.
Yeah.
You know, because people aren't having babies.
Right.
So maybe that'll help. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think there's some solutions out there, but obviously any solution is always easier like stated than like applied, you know what I'm saying? But
well, I think COVID changed a lot of things for teaching, just schools in general.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot changed with that, especially with the kids being online. A lot of kids, you know, that are younger that didn't go to pre-K, didn't go to kindergarten, you know, they were online first and second grade. And now they're all of a sudden back in the classroom in third and fourth grade and they don't know how to be human yet.
Yeah.
They don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, it's wild to think about the generation that's coming up comparatively to the generation that we were.
Right.
Because I say to my coworkers all the time, I'm like, God, I can never act like that to a teacher.
No.
Like, how are they okay with getting away with that?
You know, on some level, it has to go back to the parents.
It does.
Because
100%
I think
it does.
half of the respect that, you know, I would say I and my peers had from our teachers was just the accountability that we would have if back home if something was communicated incorrectly.
Absolutely. Like I was terrified. So, like if I did anything wrong, I'm like, God, my ass is about to get whooped right now.
Literally. So, I mean, that's why I always go back to it because I'm like, who's holding these kids accountable?
Right.
And if the parents aren't, the teachers have zero chance.
Absolutely. You know I mean, it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where you try so hard to do everything right as a teacher, but if you don't have that support from home, you're going to see the gaps.
Right.
I mean, it's a losing battle.
And maybe it has to be more cutthroat, you know, where it's like, listen, this is where he's at, where she's at. You want to get him here.
Right.
You know.
Oh, I used to sugarcoat it. When I first started teaching, I would sugarcoat things. I'd put on that face, but
yeah, because it's tough to tell a parent to their face because they're already so not. I mean, the thing is, I always felt like my parents or whatever, like I always felt like they weren't even there to ever hear anything good.
Right.
And if the teacher said something good, they would be like, in 1 year, like it was expected.
Right.
They're just like, is there anything?
It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But I feel like now it's like parents are like, my kid can do no wrong.
Absolutely.
You know, and so like the bad things go in 1 year and out. And the good things are like, of course. You know, so it's just, again, I think the parent team as a whole just probably isn't great right now.
No.
And we could probably see that play out in different things that we see in society right now.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, you know, just things that are just, you know, like go against, you know, good morals or being a good human or being kind, you know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, they're learning it in school, but are they going home to it? Probably not.
Probably not. You know?
Probably not. So, I mean, I had a girl today tear up my room out of nowhere, called home.
Really?
And, you know, put the phone on speaker in front of the class. I was like, I'm exhausted. It's May.
Yeah.
Let's not do this.
We got a couple more weeks.
Right. And, you know, it shows because mom is telling her like, oh, like turn your day around. I'm going to buy you something. And it's like that right there is proving
not good.
You're not holding her accountable.
Right.
Like you just tore up this room. We're disrespectful. You were acting a certain way. And mom is like, oh, I'm going to buy you something if you be good. And it's like, really? That's what we're going to do?
It's crazy because everyone wants to be there. I think it's because our generation was raised so hard, even the generations before us.
I agree.
You know, that we were raised so hard that so many people just want to be the opposite of their parents.
Yes.
Not knowing that, like, you can't just be the extreme opposite. It's not going to work out well. Now, you don't have to always do everything your parents did, and you can learn to do some things better than, you know, how you were treated. But I think that's what it is. People just want to be their friends. They want their kids to like them.
Part.
They want
to be their friends.
And it's like, they're not going to be your friend if they're 30 years old and they think that they didn't have structure their whole life.
That kids need structure.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time with, you know, multiple students I've had in the past and now where you can see the kids that have the structure at home, that have the parents that are hard on them, but also love them and give them those boundaries. Whereas the other kids that don't have that, they're running amok. They're doing whatever they want. They're saying whatever they want. They have no respect for authority. And it's like, how do you get those kids in just a year?
Yeah.
I mean, I only have them for 1 year and then they go on.
Right.
So it's like, I have 1 year for a chance to maybe change, hopefully, hopefully switch something in your brain to maybe you can take that on for the rest of your life. And then I'm not going to see you again.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm going to have you, I'm going to love you, I'm going to give you what you need, and then you can choose what you do with it.
Yeah.
So
what grade do you teach right now?
2nd grade.
2nd grade. Do you think that's like your sweet spot?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
2nd grade is 100% the sweet spot. Yeah. I've taught kindergarten. I've taught 1st grade. I like 1st grade. Kindergarten, not my thing. It was very exhausting. It takes a very special type of person to teach kindergarten. They're babies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 5 years old, you know, you're not even really teaching them curriculum at that point. Right. You are teaching them how to be.
Yeah.
You know,
just like normal
things. Absolutely. Yeah. Like just how to act in a school setting is pretty much the entire 1st semester.
Right.
So for me, that was challenging because
a lot of
work. I felt like I wasn't teaching the way that I wanted to teach because it was so different.
Yeah. You're being like a mother at that point.
Pretty much. Yeah. I felt like I was doing so much more during that year. And I actually took a year off after I taught kindergarten because it made me question if teaching was for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that are in teaching say that finding the right grade that works for you is everything. You know,
it is.
And it's interesting because people say the same thing about 10th grade or 11th grade or 12th grade, just because that's their comfort zone.
Right.
I feel like my comfort zone would probably be high school age, simply because like I feel like I don't even know how to talk to like young kids sometimes.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And I start in my head. I'm like freaking out in my head. Like, am I talking to them like a dog or a cat right now? You know, because I feel like I kind of talk
I mean,
to them.
they're not going to know a difference.
You know, I'm like, yeah, buddy. You know? So like, it's like, I'm always like in my head. I mean, if you know the kid or if you met them before, it's different, you know, like it's a family member,
absolutely,
one of your friends' kids or something, it's different. But, you know, when you get introduced to somebody, you know, in passing, outside of being like, hey, what's up?
Right.
That's it. I'm like, all right, hopefully the conversation's over.
Right, for sure. So. And it's funny you say that because with 2nd grade, I mean, they're 7 and 8, right, during that year. So they are young. But I've always made it a point to, you know, talk to them like they're a child, you know, give them that fun, energetic, you know, character that they love. But at the same time, I talk to them like a person.
Yeah. That's what I would have to resort to too.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, like I'm not the type of teacher that's going to sit there and talk to you like a baby.
Right.
I'm not going to baby you either. Right. I'm going to push you. I know that these kids can do more than they say they can. And I'm there to show you that.
Get that out of them.
So I talk to them like I would a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not my friends.
Yeah.
You know, they're my little friends. They don't know that though. But I don't call my students friends. I don't, you know, but I do talk to them like they are a real person.
Like an adult human. Like,
absolutely.
You know, obviously like softer, but you know,
softer.
Just like
for
still
sure.
stern and direct.
Absolutely.
You know, just like
because they respect that, you know, and especially these kids that I have at my school, like they are well beyond their years. They know more than they should.
They know more than you think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they respect when, you know, you give them that same respect where I'm like, hey, let's not do this. I see it.
Yeah.
Let's flip it, you know, and I'm here for you. You're here for me. Respect goes both ways. I don't demand respect because respect is earned, not given.
Yeah.
Goes both ways, right? I'm not going to sit there and be like, you have to respect me.
Yeah.
Kids don't respond to that.
Right. No, they don't respond.
They need to know you're human.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like the teachers that I ended up liking the most were the ones that either were like the nicest or like the ones that were also coaches of sports.
Yeah.
So they're like, I don't care.
Right.
You know, you want to go skip, go skip.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Just don't, I mean, I'm not going to stick up for
you.
You know, like
right.
You know,
like it's your future. Not mine.
Or you'd be like, oh, if you want to be disrespectful, just leave the class. Like,
absolutely.
I'm not going to go back and forth. You know, and it's just like, you know, when you just kind of, you know, it's kind of like 8 Mile. It's like when he made fun of himself, there's nothing else to do. So the teacher's like, I'm not then it's like you can't even get a ride, even like the class, like, there's no point in like putting that effort out. So, but all right. So when you're not teaching, when you're not working, what do you like? What's your go-to like for like a cool down, wind down?
Okay.
What do you like? What do you enjoy doing?
So lately it's been the gym.
Okay.
Took a really long time off.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like what we were talking about earlier, it's hard to find that happy medium.
Sure.
Especially, I mean, I drive home in silence and I don't even realize it half the time because I'm just disassociating from the chaos, right? It's loud. And that's the hardest part about teaching, I think, is it's loud all day long. So when I sit in my car at the end of the day, that is like me decompressing. Like I will sit there, sit in the driveway, drive home in silence, like just kind of take it all in. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard for me to find that balance of like, okay, here's your career, but it's not all that you are. Right. Like I'm a teacher, but it's not all that I am. Like I'm going to go home on the weekends and do whatever it is that I want to do on the weekends. I'm going to go home after work and I'm still me. I'm still a person that has a life outside of this job. So I've made it a point, one, contract hours are contract hours. That is huge for a lot of people. A lot of teachers don't feel that way and they will stay later or come in earlier to get extra things done. But at the end of the day, for me personally, if it doesn't get done today, it'll get done tomorrow. And if I'm not getting paid to stay here, I'm not going to stay because I'm already, not
no
getting paid enough. Absolutely.
I agree.
So, I mean, I like the gym. Music is a huge de-stressor. I mean, trashy TV shows, the basics. But yeah, just cooking, finding things
Do you
at
enjoy
home.
cooking?
I love cooking.
It doesn't ever, you never feel like obviously you can feel too tired.
I do feel too tired sometimes. Yes. Yeah. But I never look at cooking as like, oh, it's a chore.
Yeah. You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Yeah. Like for me, it's this huge de-stressor. Like I feel like I can like breathe. It's a very creative thing for me.
Yeah, sure.
So what we were talking about with like the creative outlets, it is hard to think about anything else when I get home. Half the time I don't want to do anything. I have to physically push myself because the mental isn't there. So if I'm not, changing the second I get home from work to go to the gym and I sit on the couch, game over. If I'm not, taking stuff out to cook for that day, game over. So it's a lot of prep on top of a very prepped, mindful day. So it can become very taxing.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of people do meal prep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Obviously it helps them diet or stay like, stay on their diet.
Right.
But it also takes away the thinking.
Yes. Yeah, so you don't have to think about what you're going to bring to lunch. Right. Yeah, what you're going to make, what you're going to order.
Which I think there's value in that because I think that's what, we were talking about the to-do list. That's the power of the to-do list.
Absolutely.
And I always tell people like, whether it's your to-do list for like your daily to-do list or if it's like, a list that you're trying to make for your life, because I always say like, we always put more effort and work than we do in our life.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'll go to work and make a to-do list, but I won't even sit down on a Saturday and make a to-do list for my life. Like what things do I enjoy doing? What things do I hate doing? I don't, a lot of times we don't take enough time for ourselves to actually write our to-do list,
I agree.
But I think it's important because if you don't, everything's just in your mental. So it's not like you're going to forget it, but you can't organize your thoughts in your brain. You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's such a huge point. I feel like there's so many things going on that I want to get done, things that I want to do or start or begin. And it's in my head, right? Like just you said, and I can't ever put them into practice because I'm just constantly thinking about it. It's like, oh, this week was brutal. I just want to go hang out with friends. Or, oh, I just want to go do this. Or, oh, I have to get this done. And it's like, there's so many other things that could be done or things that I could start or begin.
Yeah.
And I'm just not putting it at the forefront of my mind. And it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what happened to that idea that I had back in January?
Yeah. It's tough because again, like it's that give and take of like, I work so hard during the week that I want to like relax right now. But it's just finding, but again, like, and relaxing is important, because I don't think you should go work. But again, I don't think we take enough time to plan and prepare for like our own life. And it's not even about like, again, it's not about creating the next business or doing that. It's just like, I enjoy reading books. I need to make sure I buy a new book the third Friday of every month. You know what I'm saying? And it's simple to do that. Once you take one Saturday and write down, I love books, you go on your phone, you go on the calendar and you say, make a rule the third Friday of every month, give me a notification to go buy a new book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so like little things like that, because, you know, when you start doing that, so that's what I was getting to is like the to-do list is good, but when it comes to the to-do list for your life, you want to correlate that to a calendar.
Yeah.
Right. So when you do a to-do list for your work, it can still include calendar appointments, but I think it's less important. It's more about knocking things off.
Right.
But I think when you do a to-do list for your life, it's not about knocking them off. It's about it's about scheduling it.
Right.
Right. So put it on the calendar. So like I want to go to Nashville. It's like, we'll put it on the calendar.
Right.
Right. It's not something you need to cross off your to-do list.
Right.
You know, and so a lot of people, you know, in St. Pete, Tampa, there's so many good restaurants, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people keep a note in their phone of all the good restaurants, right?
I've got one of those. Yeah.
That's a good start.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But now let's put that on the calendar.
Right.
Right.
Let's actually put it in.
Because again, we're still thinking. So whenever we're like, oh, where do we go to eat? Yes. Step one is pull up my phone and let's see. But it'd be way easier if you're like, oh, what's today's date? Oh yeah, it's already, we're going to 42 today. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that's the actionable execution of the idea. Oh,
I 100%
that agree. A lot of people are missing in business, but more importantly in life. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I want to say a point about that too, with what you said about, oh, you wouldn't do that unless it's someone's birthday or a wedding.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that if it wasn't for somebody else.
Right.
So why can't you do it
for yourself?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like we get so caught up in the day-to-day of life and everything of just like doing things for other people. Of course, I love to go to weddings. I love to celebrate other people. But at the end of the day, like if all of my trips this past year have all been for other people,
right?
Why can't I do it for myself?
Exactly.
Right.
The only reason why you haven't or couldn't, you know, I'm not talking about you, but whoever, is because the only reason why you did those things initially was because somebody invited you to do them.
Right.
Somebody else took the effort.
It was already
to
planned.
Put it on the calendar.
Yes.
So literally, you just had to be the person that put it on the calendar. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then they made you put it on the calendar. You know, they're like, it's going to be May 10th. You're like, all right, May 10th it is.
Be there, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but again, it just, all of this just goes back to being intentional.
Yes.
You know, and when you have intentions on something, it's always a lot easier to obtain it.
Right.
I feel alive, I feel alive, feeling